I want to talk about the new podcast episode in which I interviewed Dr. Marlene Carson there on the left in the yellow. She has tons of information in this particular interview, but the one thing I wanted to highlight, good, I'm glad you're well. Me too. One of the things I wanted to highlight where she said, you may be able to see your way out. You may not know how to get there, but just know that there is hope. And that's a message for a lot of people that feel like they're stuck in different situations. Maybe you're not a victim of sex trafficking. Maybe you're not being held against your will, but there might be some situations where you feel like you're in a mental or emotional bondage, even if it's not a physical bondage. That she just wants you to know, as a survivor of human trafficking, that there is hope. And so I just want to highlight a few things that we talked about in the episode. Dr. Marlene Carson. I'm going to call her Marlene because I don't want to confuse her with another Dr. Carson that is in the news lately. She's totally a different person. I met her in October at a brunch, actually at a seminar, and then the next day she came for a brunch. She does not live here. She lives in Columbus, Ohio. In this particular podcast, she gives us a non-graphic recount of what happened to her when she was 15 years old, when she was kidnapped by people that she knew and trusted in her neighborhood, in her community, that did not look like traffickers, and sold into prostitution. And her and many other kids, this happened to, and of course it's been happening for a long time. She actually was silent about this particular issue for about 30 years before she went public, because of what you would think, typical fears about how people would treat her in her community. She had children. She was very active member of her church, and she's a minister. And so, what would people think of her if they knew what happened to her? Actually, not what she used to do or her occupation, but what happened to her. And I think there's a difference between the things that happen to you in life and things that you choose. And one of the points that she makes, a very strong point, is that no one chooses to be a prostitute. She said no girl just grows up, or child for that matter, because there are boys that are trafficked as well. No child grows up saying to themselves, well, you know what? When I grow up, I want to be a prostitute. Nobody does that, but it's something that happens. There's various reasons for it. And so in this particular interview, I'm very proud to be able to share a lot of myths dispelled, a lot of things that people feel about sex trafficking, human trafficking, and prostitution that are not true. I know I personally had this ignorance because when I was talking to her, I said something about the traffickers or the pimps, because normally what you think of when you think of a pimp, you think of a man, right? You think of some sketchy, creepy person. And that's not what happened. She and her parents would never have been allowed to go with these people had they been sketchy, creepy people like the ones that you see on the crime dramas, right? You see them on Blue Bloods or Criminal Minds or all these kind of shows, and they look shady. And it's like, okay, well, no, duh, don't go with those people. Don't talk to those people. But that's not the way that trafficking works. That's not the way that child prostitution and human trafficking work. And so just very proud of this particular episode. I'm not going to go over all the myths because I want you to listen to the episode. It's very educational. And the main thing we want people to take away from is to have not only compassion for the victims and survivors of trafficking, but also to understand it as an issue that can happen to anyone. It does not matter how much education you have. It does not matter how much money you make. It does not matter what neighborhood you live in. It does not matter who your parents are or if you even have parents. It doesn't matter if you're a smart student or if you're a dummy. It doesn't matter what your intelligence level is. None of these things matter to traffickers. There's things that they look for, and all the things that I just mentioned will not keep you immune. So what you need to do is get educated yourself, get some awareness, and then teach it to your children. If you are a school official, if you're a parent, if you're a mentor, if you're a speaker, if you're anyone that works with youth, then I would implore you to get the facts about human trafficking in your area, as well as listening to this particular interview. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and Atlanta is the number 4 city for human trafficking in the country. Number 4. Okay. The number 1 city happens to be in Ohio. I'm going to let her give you all of that information when you listen to the interview. But it's just crazy. It's something that people think is only overseas, or it's only in bad areas. It's only in the ghetto or in the hood or whatever. Nope, 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 nope. Doesn't matter what color you are. Doesn't matter your neighborhood. That stuff doesn't matter. So please, if you care about kids in any way, shape, or form, and you care about yourself, please check out the interview. You can find Kickin' It with Daree on iTunes as well as Stitcher Radio, and of course on my website at DareeAllen.com. So if you have any questions, check out the interview. Thank you for watching the replay. I thank you for the hearts and for sharing this particular video. All right. Have a wonderful day.